One time, I appreciate everybody who pulled up today. Give yourselves a hand. Give yourselves a hand.
Yes, yes.
Right? On a Monday, it was fake cold, but also was sweating by the time I got here. I don't know how that works, right? But we made it. We made it. And we're going to be able to enjoy some good basketball, right? But we'll start off with having an even better basketball conversation.
Yes.
Right? Welcome to In the Zone. Welcome to In the Zone. That didn't sound too excited. Welcome to In the Zone.
Yeah! Woohoo!
There we go. Turn me up. Turn me up. Turn me up in here. Okay, right?
Shit like that. Shit like that.
Just to set the tone. I want to really set the tone for what's actually happening here, right? I don't know if y'all know, but it's about less than 4% of high school basketball players who play college basketball. Let's start there, right? And less than 3% of those college basketball players get to play professionally. So you're really talking about like 0.003% of people who like basketball who get to play pro. And we've got 5 sitting right next to us.
Clap it up, clap it up.
Right? Like, you guys do not know how hard it is, especially in the U.S., to try to play professionally, let alone being able to go to a whole different country and figuring out the same deal, right? So here we want to give each of these individuals their flowers while they can still smell them. Let's give them a round of applause.
Absolutely.
Right, so we're going to be diving into what it means to really take your game global within the zone, right? But before we continue on with them, let me introduce y'all to my mans to the left of me, Arden Franklin. Let's give him a hand.
Oh, let's go. I can't wait to hear this.
A proud, very proud Westchester County, New York native,
Chill.
right? Apparently that's different from the city. I'm still learning things.
Just outside the city and not upstate. Don't y'all dare say anything about upstate.
I'm just learning New York. I've only been here for a year, and that's a
It's
very,
like the cousin of New York, you know? It's the cousins.
very
If
sensitive
it's on this side of
subject.
Tappan Zee, you're good.
Facts, we are.
All right, well, Arden, when I say a creator, a master strategist, when I had to figure out who was going to be with me on this, it was a no-brainer. It was a no-brainer bringing him in. I mean, he's done the who's who's. Your favorite athletes, he's probably interviewed them before. From Donovan Mitchell to WWE star Mr. Jay Russo, as well, New York rap legend Jadakiss, one of my favorite rappers personally. I know we was just talking about this the other day. He got a chant like this is, let's give him a hand. This is the guy. This is the guy right here. This is the guy right here.
Man, I appreciate you, bro. Thank you again for this opportunity. And for the fella to the right of me, I mean, first things first, Burlington County Player of the Year. That's what we talking about?
Yeah, you right. You
All
right.
Jersey standout. That's what we talking about?
You right.
PA
You right.
players holding it down, average 20 and 12 in high school. Is that what we talking about? Don't
right.
act like I ain't
You
do a
right.
little research. Understand me. Played in college, UMass Lowell. Played at Felicion, co-captain. Held
sure.
it down. Started all 26 games as a power forward. But how I met this brother, right? Shout out to the homie T behind the camera, making sure the vision's captured. so
Shout out
beautifully.
T. Shout out T.
I met this
please.
brother behind what he's been doing an incredible job with the Rock, the Doc runs, teaching us how to get our fitness on, our wellness on, proper stretching, proper mental preparation, and much more. Holding it down at Continuum as one of their heads of performance. Highly educated, incredibly smart. Make sure y'all clap it up for my dog Kennedy, man, please.
For sure. All right, so let's get into introducing y'all to our panelists. Right?
Yes,
Let's talk
yes.
about our panelists. You want to start?
Man,
off?
I gotta get comfy with this one. When we're talking about one of the best shooters in the city, the person I'm looking at is one of the best shooters in the city. We're talking about a 2004 Bronx Player of the Year, All-City second team member. Let's talk about it. We're talking about going to college, won a chip at Monroe, NJCAA, then went on to Eastern Kentucky, averaged the second most points for Eastern Kentucky with 11 per game, dropped a smooth 21, not a big deal, against third-ranked Oklahoma, and then had a successful pro career. Played in Sweden, played in Greece, and many more. And I see her still do her thing every summer on the playgrounds, in the gyms, not only just hooping at a high level, but getting great content and is a pillar of the New York City basketball community. Clap it up for the one and only Nikki Avery.
Thank you. Thank you. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Appreciate
Gotta show
y'all.
love, gotta show love. And to the fella to the left of me, man, if you're into college basketball, if you know about the Big East, this fella you've seen in your screen put in crazy work in the Big East. First of all, he's one of the few players in DePaul history with over 1,400 points, 350 assists, and over 150 threes. By the way, that's pretty damn good, right? Had over 2,000 points during his high school career. Is a man that is known for winning chips, won a sectional and a state championship, McDonald's All-American nominee. Pro career, looking hella smooth and promising now. Had G League experience, played for the South Bay Lakers and the Salt Lake City Stars, and has recently done his thing in Scotland. Give it up for Eli Kane.
Big Waz. Big Waz. I'd normally say it's hard to follow that up, but Sarah, she's got something else to say about that. I mean, we're talking about captain of the Nigerian women's basketball team, right? 4-time FIBA Women's Afro-Basket Tournament champion. And before that, I mean, took first place in the Olympic qualifying tournaments in Belgium. Jeez. I mean, it's just chips everywhere. Chips absolutely everywhere. Before that, in high school, college, I mean, I said chips everywhere, right? 2-time district all champion. And it doesn't stop there because on top of all that, somehow she found time to become a foot surgeon because that's just what you do, right? Shout out to Sarah Ogoke.
Let's go.
Now, this next guy, Mr. Manny Quezada. Now, including stops in Spain, Brazil, Africa, my man won all tournament honors in the Africa Basketball League, averaged over 15 points in his pro career. Like, there aren't many people I know that average more than 10 points. To average that over your whole pro career is ridiculous. And I actually got a chance to, before I even knew Manny for this panel, I pulled up to to Chelsea Piers to go play basketball, actually with Sarah. And I'm waiting to get on, right? You know, you got to warm up a little bit. You're watching people play. And I see one dude who just, it seems like everybody else are children out there. He's doing whatever he wants on the court. And I'm like, who is this? So when they hit me up to do this panel, it's just crazy the way that the universe works because Combo introduced me, and then this is oh yeah, we need him. We need him on here. I mean, in the 2008 West Coast Conference, he was honorable mention. His junior season, top 10 in conference, scoring, assists, free throws, turnover assist ratio. That's what you call a PG. Shout out Manny Quezada.
Wait, 1 second. Weren't you Gatorade Player of the Year? Yeah, he was Gatorade.
Gatorade Player of the Year, St. Albans in Washington, D.C. Whew. Golly. Did they give you any Gatorade for that?
NIL would have been good, right?
NIL would have been great at that time. Oh, man. Last but not least, Andrew Salop. Played in Denmark, Israel. 2015 Denmark First Division All-Star, all-region Division I JUCO. And now he's crossed over to the media side. If you haven't heard, you should know. Combo's Corner, if you're talking about somebody going viral, this is the guy right here, especially for his basketball takes. A lot of them I kind of disagree with, but we'll leave that for another day. Shout out to Andrew Shalop.
Thanks, Rock. Appreciate
Let's
it.
get it. Now, to kick things off, and Nikki, we'll start with you, right? This question for the group. If you had the chance to describe your overseas experience with one word or one phrase, what would it be?
Wow. Okay. One word or one phrase. I don't want to say crazy. No, I'm joking. And no, I would say interesting. I don't know. I don't have. I have to think about this.
Mm-hmm.
It was very interesting.
Yeah. Eli, what about you?
I would use a phrase. I would say, good. I would say, be at where your feet is at. It's easy to look forward to, or I would say, have expectations going into the season, especially someone like myself. It was my first year going overseas, so I had a lot of expectations, things I wanted to do on and off the court. And it took a while to just settle in, to get used to. It's not America. It's not college. It's not the G League. It's different. but it's different in a good way as well. So I would say just be at where your feet at, take every day, day by day, and just try to win the day. That's what I kept telling myself, just try to win the day and then repeat. Obviously, some days you might lose. That's human. That's life. But if you stay in the moment and put the work in, eventually you'll figure it out.
Absolutely. Sarah?
I would say immersive. I found myself in so many different countries, from Europe to Africa, all over Africa, Mozambique, Tunisia, Egypt, Senegal, Angola, Mali, Cameroon, and my number one objective was to just learn as much as I could about the cultures and the people.
Manny?
I'd say it's a whirlwind, for real. I feel like every basketball player who played overseas can tell you it's like you don't really know what's going to happen. You know what I mean? From one day to another, things could change, coaches get fired. You know what I mean? You might get bought out by a team, which was my case a few times. So you're always learning. It's a really humbling experience, but really rewarding. So, but definitely, a whirlwind of situations.
Combo to close it out.
Definitely eye-opening, and honestly, it was like very isolating. Like you feel because you don't have any family there, you don't really have the friends from back home there, that you feel really isolated. When everybody goes back to your family, you're just going back to, watch YouTube. But you also got to make the most out of your time, and I think I learned that over time playing over there.
Okay, that's not bad. That's not bad at all. In addition to this being a talk, we want to take y'all on a bit of a journey, right? The overseas experience, if you will, right? So we're going to start off just giving you your boarding pass, right? Let's start with how the process starts. So for the first question for the group, what did it actually feel like sitting down to sign your first pro contract? Like, what was that feeling like? Let's start with Combo.
Yeah, I mean, that happened in America for me in the ABA, so that was a good feeling, yeah. Like, being paid to play basketball was, like, definitely something I always worked towards, and it was a great feeling. It was a great day for me, for sure.
Yeah. Did you celebrate in any way? What did that day look like?
No, I can't talk about that.
So you did
I got a little
celebrate.
too crazy, Rock.
Yeah, good man, good man, good man, as you should. Manny, what you got?
With me, it was sort of surprising just how the whole process went down. You know what I mean? So I played in the G League first, but I wouldn't consider that like overseas. My first overseas contract, obviously, you hire an agent and he brings you a contract. The contract's in whatever, in my case, was in Spanish. But you kind of you sign by faith. You know what I mean? You kind of don't know what's going to happen. You don't, a lawyer in America can't save you. You know what I mean? In case anything goes wrong. But thank God everything worked out well. But it was still, it was an exciting time for sure.
Okay. Sarah?
Oh, wow. I still remember it like it was yesterday. I graduated and I was looking for a pro contract. I was trying to chase my dream and play professionally. I knew exactly where I wanted to go, and it was Angola. I found an Angolan agent by just blindly calling one of the girls from the Angolan national team who I had exchanged contacts with from a tournament while I was playing in Nigeria. The girl didn't even speak English. When I called her, she was speaking Portuguese, and I just kept telling her, like, I want to play. And she passed the phone to her husband, who spoke English, and never met the guy. And he said, okay, you're Sarah from Nigeria? All right, yeah, we're going to try to bring you to Angola. Just keep in touch, and when there's an opening, we're going to make it work for you. So for almost a year, I kept in touch with this guy that I had never met. I was sending updated film as much as I could. I had almost given up. I was actually in Nigeria after I had graduated, just spending time with family, when I received a call, literally out of the blue, stating that I needed to be in Angola next week. And I told my parents, they helped me get the visas that I needed and everything. I went outside and I just started running. I ran and I did as much as I could to get in the best shape that I could with the 4 to 5 days that I had until it was time for me to leave. And that's how I literally landed in Luanda, Angola, flew to another small town after that, played in their Super Cup. This is all in less than 36 hours of landing in the country. Helped them win what is called the Super Cup, and ended up signing my very first contract to play.
Clap that up. Why Angola?
Ask Manny. They got it. They got it. Oil, diamonds, gold. The team was owned by a billionaire. You know Premier Gush, though.
The food was good.
It was
Okay.
absolutely. The team was owned by, like a government official who was hands-on in every facet of all the sports that were included in the club, and they took very good care of their players. I saw that the girls on the national team all stayed at home to play. They didn't go to Spain. They weren't worried about coming to America or the WNBA. They all
speaks
had
volumes,
families.
actually.
They all had apartments or houses, and they were all doing it by playing at home in their local leagues. So I'm like, what's going on there? And that's when I found out that, they're doing very well in there on the men's and the women's side in terms of basketball.
You know, Naja, we're going to follow the money.
Period.
Yeah. All right, E, what it felt like for you to sign your first pro contract?
My first contract was a little different because my first one was the G League. So, all of us, we probably been used to traveling and playing since we were, high school or younger. But my first one was just going to California for the Lakers. But my first one for overseas, like Manny said, it's kind of signing by faith. Like, especially your first contract, you don't really know what to expect. As years go on, you gain more experience and kind of get used to what's going to happen. My first one was kind of signing on faith. I signed to Luxembourg 3 weeks before COVID first hit America, so I was only out there for 19 days, came back home, had to fight my way to get back home because at that time the travel was a little funny. They weren't letting people back into America, but I think that's the perfect way to put it, just signing by faith, trusting the work that you put in beforehand. And I kind of had that same mentality of just staying in the moment, staying in the day, and obviously how basketball works, I feel like I just started getting my groove maybe that 18th day, and the 19th day I had to go home. So, but that's just how it goes. So I would definitely say just signing by faith is a great way to put it for sure.
Okay, I like that. Nikki?
Yeah, so I had like a little journey for my first signing. So I went to a mid-major college, and so we weren't on TV. We didn't go to the NCAA tournament, unfortunately, those 2 years. But I played well, and my team, we were good, but we just didn't make it to the tournament. So when that happens, it's like agents are not coming to you, right? You're not in the limelight. The teams overseas don't really know your name. So in that case, as soon as I graduated in June, let me back up. My freshman year, I went to UTEP. Okay, so I was at UTEP, which is a huge university. I ended up transferring, went to the JUCO, where we won the national championships. Then I went to Eastern Kentucky, mid-major. Now, someone I went to school with my freshman year was connected to an agent. She reached out to me my senior year and was like, hey, I think this agent would love to pick you up. And this just happened by chance, right? So I communicated with the agent. And then right after college, first I got a contract to play in Puerto Rico, which was like a smaller league. It's not overseas. I did really well. Then the agent finally contacted me like in December, like, pack your bags. We need you here in a week. It was similar to, whose story was that? That was quick. You had to be ready really fast. Yeah, so I had to be ready fast. I had no idea what I was walking into. So we're just signing by faith, basically. And it felt like college, when you first signed to college. Yeah, it's like a big experience, So one of your goals is being met. You really don't know what to expect, but it's an exciting feeling. I was very excited.
Obviously, within this, experience, right, there's a lot of things that you have to get used to, which we'll talk on later on more in depth. But Combo, what was your first or even your biggest, like, oh my God, I'm not in the States anymore?
You want to know what's crazy? It was on the airplane, because I was going to Israel and everybody was, dressed in, an Hasidic Jewish outfit. So the top hats and but the crazy thing is they're all American. Yeah. But I felt like I was in a different country on the plane, even though I'm Jewish, I'm from Riverdale, but I just felt like I was an outsider. Yeah. And then getting there, obviously, they don't speak English, and you're just like in a whirlwind. And my agent was the only guy. My agent was actually with me the first time there, and he was the only guy speaking English. And they could speak English, but they're just not comfortable with it, and you don't really know what's going on. And I'm all over the place, and it's hot, and I couldn't sleep, and man, the beginning wasn't a great experience, to be honest. It got better over time, but and also the phone charger. Make sure you bring a phone charger. that adapts in that country because you won't have a phone. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
You ever heard
Yeah.
about that word?
Yeah.
The outlets
I'll
be
be damned.
horizontal and not vertical. It's a
know that.
whole different.
I'll be damned.
Yeah.
It's
They
an
got, like,
adapting
two
charger.
prongs.
Yeah.
So make sure, I know that's probably a question I jumped to, but that's definitely, if anybody going overseas out here, make sure you got the charger because you'll be scrambling.
Hey,
Yeah.
don't always need Google or TikTok to learn. That's the beauty of these panels right here. Manny, for you, what was your damn, I'm not in the States anymore moment?
My first, when I landed in Spain, if anybody knows anything about overseas, they expect you to practice immediately. So I landed in Madrid. I drove 2 hours to a small town, and then immediately I had to like warm up after being on the plane for like 8 hours. So I ended up like practicing. I remember it was like 4 or 5 o'clock, and by the time I got out, I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna go home, take a shower, and then go get something to eat. So that's exactly what I did. I went home, I took a shower, and when I came back outside at around 7:30, 8 o'clock, there was nothing open. So I pretty much did eat that night. So that was my first, like, you got to make sure you get all the rules and everything that's happening because the supermarkets were closed, the restaurants were closed. I think it was a Saturday night. So what I ended up doing is I think I went to a bar late night or something like that. So you can imagine my first time in Spain, and then I'm at a bar somewhere trying to get wings or something. So that was my first, like, you got to make sure you on point with everything here because it's not the same as in America. So
Hey, I gotta ask this.
go ahead.
Were the wings good though?
The wings were okay. They were okay.
I
yeah.
was curious. You know, in case
Pre-game,
I'm
you
ever in
can't go wrong
Spain,
with wings pre-game,
Yeah.
right?
might have to get some wings with the fries with the Sprite.
They're not good in
might
China,
make
but
it
in
feel
Spain
like
they
home.
were right.
Sarah, what about you? What was your, I'm not in the States moment?
Ooh. So before I signed my first professional contract, I had been playing for the Nigerian senior national team. And our very first tournament in 2011 was in Maputo, Mozambique. That was what is called the All Africa Games, which is basically the African Olympics. All countries in Africa, all sports from badminton to soccer to swimming, everything. And when we were playing in the basketball tournament, we ended up playing against Mozambique, which was the home team, in the quarterfinals. And when I tell you the gym was packed to the brim, people, I don't know if people climbed the roof of the stadium to get in. People were dangling from the ceilings. There was like a stampede at the door. Like it was nuts. And when I heard people coming in with, I don't know if you guys remember in South Africa the World Cup when they had the vuvuzelas. When people came in with the vuvuzelas, everybody was like coming in with drums, vuvuzelas. Like it was I was like, okay, this is African basketball. This is not no normal USA type of stuff. Like the gym is, everybody's chanting like, you
got me hyped with that already.
I was like, yo, what's going on? Like, it was a totally different energy from regular high school or college basketball. Like, it was nuts. I was like, yeah, this is something else.
Eli, what about you?
My first experience like that was probably 2 hours off the plane when you first land. Well, when I first landed, they took us around Luxembourg to find an apartment for us to stay in. So I flew in with two of my other teammates. They both were American. They both were black. So when we land, the first apartment we go to, I'm not sure the population of black people in Luxembourg, but the first apartment we go to is like a 3-story building. There's an older dude, maybe in his like 70s, on the 3rd floor, and we obviously pull up to the 1st floor. And as soon as I opened the door, he screams, "Monkeys, monkeys." I said, wow, like that was like my first, like, okay, I'm not American anymore. But yeah, I'll remember that like it was yesterday, so that was my tough one.
That 19 days don't seem that bad no
Nah,
more.
I don't, bro. I was happy to get out of there at that point, bro. That was,
Golly.
That is wow. Nikki, what about you?
Yeah, so my first country was Greece. I got there, you know, I have all these bags because, of course, I'm a girly girl, so I needed all my things. So when I got there, they picked me up in a car. Stationed me, you know, in the hotel. They said, okay, tomorrow be ready for practice. We'll come pick you up. I go downstairs, and they pick me up on the scooter. And I was like, hold on, where I'm supposed to go? So, like, I was on the back of the scooter, you know, going to practice. But you find out that that's pretty normal. Aren't there a lot of scooters? Yeah, we've kind of adopted the scooter life here in New York, just to be honest, right? With all the Ubers. But that's really overseas style. It's like scooters galore. They go scooters after the nightclub, scooters to work, scooters everywhere. And so I got picked up with the scooter, and I was like, okay, this is different. But we have many stories. How about how in Greece, they take a 2 to 3 hour kind of like break in the middle of the day just to drink coffee? Like Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays. So if you go to the shops during those days to do anything, it's like they're closed. And they know, they're like, it's like, don't even come here. You know that we're on our coffee break.
Shout out Greece.
I'm a
Yeah,
coffee fiend.
it's
I'm
real.
a G with that.
In a good way. And also the fresh fruits and the vegetables, that's also how I knew I wasn't in America anymore. I love America, but I'm just saying, you know, their stuff is really fresh.
That's a fact. Okay.
Hey, we need that here, though.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
That is nice,
It's all
man.
good. We'll figure something out. Okay, so switching gears a little bit here. To be a professional basketball player, right? You probably gotta be a lot of things. One thing, probably a little crazy, right, in your own way. I want each of you to give me 3 attributes that you think every professional basketball player should have to be successful. If you want to be a pro, if you want to stay a pro, what are 3 things in your opinion that a professional basketball player needs?
I'll go first. I think we've had this conversation before. The first one, crazy. I think to play at this level, you have to have some level of delusion, especially in yourself, because so many things go on, so many other people are trying to get your spot. The level you have to perform at, no matter what's going on in your life, no matter what's going on at the time, what's happened to you, what your family's going through, whatever, you still have to perform. So I would say crazy or delusion. I would say resiliency. Just like I said, you go through so much, and if you really want it, you have to keep going. I mean, you get paid to play, so some organizations care, and most of them really don't. You're there to perform, like I said. And the third one, I would say being able to adapt. I mean, we've all played overseas. And if you can adapt, it doesn't matter how good you can shoot a jump shot, how high you jump, how fast you are. If you can adapt to the day-to-day and the basketball, especially the basketball, the way they want you to play, all of us, obviously, we're probably, you know, the best player on our team, high school, college. But American basketball is not overseas basketball. You go overseas, they don't care how many points you scored. In America, they don't care what you did in high school, college, none of that matters. If you don't play their way, it's 1,000 other people waiting for that position. So I would say adaptability, crazy or delusional, and resiliency. Sure.
I like it. Sarah, talk to me.
I couldn't agree more. Confidence, you know, you almost have to have like this godlike complex where you don't care what's going on around you. If you had a bad game, if the coaches don't believe in you, you got to believe in yourself. You have to have that confidence that, you know, you are who you think you are, first and foremost, because if you don't have it, nobody's going to give it to you. Again, like you said, adaptability, to be able to adjust to all these new environments, constantly being on the road, being alone, without your family, foreign land, you know, new languages, language barriers. You might have to learn, you know, pick up words and then learning different basketball terms in their language, being adaptable and persistent. Exactly like he said, you have to just have that determination, because things will likely not go in the timeline that you expect, but you have to have that faith that things are gonna, you know, go well for you, or you'll be able to, you know, you'll be able to achieve what you want to achieve, and you just have to keep working at it.
Boo.
You can hear me?
Good. Loud and clear, my boy.
Definitely adaptability, because I remember when I first went over there, like not to age myself, they had the funky lane, they had like the weird 3-point line. It was the first time I was seeing people like going Euro off same leg. Like they were doing that out there before they were doing it here. So I think adaptability is probably the biggest thing. And then also overseas, you're probably going to have a different role every year. Like sometimes you might have the super green light. Sometimes you might have to be a role player. I always liked having the green light a lot better, but you have to adapt to both. One year I even played a little bit of defense. So every year you got to know what to do and you got to be different, because I played on 10 different teams in 10 years. So every time it was like a different experience, and adaptability, when he said it, like that's exactly what I was thinking.
Combo played defense?
1 year only. 1 year.
Nikki, what you got?
Yeah, I agree with everyone here. You have to have a tough mindset, of course, and that comes with also skills. You have to be skilled. You can't play basketball if you don't have skills. That goes with practicing and working out. So that's why I say the tough mentality and tough mindset. As far as your IQ as well, that goes along with it is also overseas basketball. They love IQ. That's why we said that we could play different roles, and you'll have different goals and roles to fill. Besides that, I think you have to be resilient, right? On anything you do in life, you can't give up. You have to continue to chase it as far as you can go. And yeah, adaptability, all of those things as well.
Manny, take us home.
I agree with all the panelists, but the words that I would use 3 times is toughness. I think you got to be smart and tough. You got to be resilient and tough. You got to be adaptable and tough. The situations that arise overseas are unbelievable. Sometimes you have a game the next day, and your AC might not work. So you might not sleep well that night, but you still have to perform somehow. I remember being in Egypt one time, and then the hotel had 2 settings. For some reason, Egypt gets really cold at night. During the day it's super hot, and at night it's super cold. So if you turn on the heat, it gets super hot in your room, but then if you turn it off, so I got sick overnight. And I had a crazy fever, and we were playing actually in the African Championships, and I had to somehow, you can't tell it's not like here. You can't tell your coach like, hey, look, I can't play, I'm sick. You gotta like put on a sweater, and you gotta try to fight it out, and it's just a level of like mental fortitude that you need to have that I kind of think you're almost born with. Or your situation, I think, one of the problems with America is I think we become too privileged in our basketball, and I think it's taken us back a little bit. And I think a toughness that you need, and I'm sure all these panelists have it here, because if not, they wouldn't have had successful careers. Most overseas are people who aren't particularly McDonald's All-Americans, because they kind of fall by the wayside. By the time they get over there, they're not catered to. They kind of fall off because there's a certain level of mental toughness that you need to have, that if you don't have it, for sure, you probably won't make it. So that's my take on it.
And I want us to build on that, just because y'all have all given incredible answers and some early insights to what we're going to talk about next, right? Which is, again, right, being able to adapt. You hear a lot about, for overseas players, adapting on the court, right? New systems, new roles, new leagues, new competition. But there's also an off-the-court aspect to it as well, right? We've heard about it, right? There's charger adapters, the food, the apartments, heck, the fact that how you may bank overseas could be different than how you bank back home here. So Sarah, starting with you, when thinking about things that shocked you about your overseas experience in a good or bad way, what was the most shocking?
I would say the most shocking to me was the fact that there's no real strength and conditioning, well, at least not at the level that I was used to. Like, for example, when I played at the University of Pittsburgh, in the Big East. Like I said, my first contract, which was in Angola, I came in and I crushed it because I prepared. But as the season progressed, we didn't really lift weights. We didn't have like a strength and conditioning coach. We didn't really have any structure in that realm. And my game heavily relies on just being athletic. So that was a big shocker to me. And I had to learn how to train myself eventually.
Manny, what about you?
biggest shock that I had from overseas was that some of the countries that we end up playing in are third world countries. So a particular country that I was in, I won't say where, but I had the building that I was in had like a doorman, and during COVID, everything went crazy. So nobody knew what was going on. I bought like 100-pound bag of rice, and I kind of like brought it back to the house because we didn't know what was happening. And nobody could be outside, but for some reason or another, there was a group of ladies who would come in from the countryside to sell their products in the city, and they couldn't afford to get back to their own towns because since everything was on lockdown, there was no one to buy the produce. So a lot of them, maybe 20, 30 of them, were like asleep. They were sleeping overnight outside my building. So, I kind of had to like make a bunch of rice and stuff like that, get money and anything I could do to try to help them out, because I couldn't just go up and like eat or whatever and then have them be downstairs, you know what I mean? Because, it was crazy to me, you know what I mean? But then it's the reality of what the world is. So that was probably the most shocking thing to me, but also the most rewarding.
And we was just pissed because we had to wear some masks, huh?
Yeah, precisely. That was the least of the problems there. So.
Combo.
In college, like, they kind of act like they treat everybody the same way. Like, it's even, no, like, like when you're playing professional, like, some guys are going to be treated differently. Some guys don't have to practice when they don't want to have to practice, and they're not going to hide that from you. Like, it's like there's a pecking order. Everybody knows it. I would also say practice is probably a lot easier overseas than it is in America. I think, like, they take more consideration of rest and recovery. I think there's probably, even in college today, not enough emphasis on skill development and too much conditioning. Like, how much more conditioning do we really need to get, right? Like, I think better players make better teams, and I think they do a good job of that. Like, they split the court up. They go bigs on one side, guards on the other. The guards do big work. The bigs do guard work. You switch. The guards do guard work. The bigs do big work. And I think that level of attention to skill development is really important. And here, I think there's no reason to be running 50 suicides, right? Like, for no reason. Like, I think,
I can get behind you on that.
I think during the conditioning, they do a good job of also practicing their skill. And all of that made a lot of sense to me. And that's probably why we're seeing the last, 6, 7 MVPs in the NBA have been NBA players, overseas players. So, yeah.
Nikki?
Yeah, for me, it was very shocking to know what some of my teammates were being paid. A lot of the natives, they were getting little to no money, and they're like practicing the same amount of time as me, as all of the other Americans who were imported. And I thought that was very shocking to, like, when I found out their amounts, it was very low compared to what we were getting.
Eli, to close it out.
I think a little bit of what everybody is saying, especially the difference in like strength and conditioning compared to America. Because my first 3 years was in the G League, so obviously it's part of the NBA, so you kind of get NBA treatment. This past season, we didn't have a strength and conditioning coach. We shared a trainer with the women's team, and he actually was a golf trainer. So I had a calf injury. He knew nothing about what was going on with my injury. I had to call him 3-4 times a week to get some actual advice of what's going on. I think everything everybody said kind of is hits right home. I remember my first year overseas, my power forward, like basketball was like his secondary job. He was a banker, like I was his main job, and to know that was just like we put the same amount of work in practice. We go to the games, we travel together, and this is your second job. Like, if I don't perform well, I'm going home. I'm getting cut, going home back to America, and this is what you do kind of on your off time. So that was kind of different and shocking to me as well.
Kennedy, before we go to you, I got to follow up with you on that, Eli. Like, how do you continue to build with teammates like that throughout the season, right? Because, again, for y'all have been used to, in the words of, drumline, one band, one sound, right, where everyone on the team has the same lifestyle and hooping and the same schedule. How do you build with teammates like that where, again, this is what you do. This is 1A versus somebody, they're like, yeah, this is what do on the weekends when I have free time? Like, how are y'all able to build continuity and chemistry?
I think it goes back to what I said earlier about being able to adapt. Like when I first got there, it was kind of, I was fighting it. Like, you don't, I was looking at it more so like you don't love the game as much as I do. And that's necessarily not true. He just has another job or does something else. He has a family to feed. We're just different situations. And being able to adapt and understand that and still welcome him as my teammate and allowing myself to be welcome in his point of view, I think there's a maturity aspect to it. I think it's kind of letting go of your ego as well, especially being overseas. I think that's one of the main things you have to do is let go of your ego because like I said earlier, they don't really care what you've done in America. But between those two, just being egoless and being welcoming and understanding that my point of view isn't the right one all the time. So, yeah,
I like
think
that.
that's it.
I like that a lot. All right, so hoopers, if you know hoopers, they can be a little bit superstitious at times, especially when it comes to pregame preparation, right? Lucky socks, lucky boxers, lucky everything, right? Shoes, written. So you're in a new place. So your routine has to change, right? How did you get back in the zone? Like, did you change up your normal routine when it came to preparing for the game? Like, how did that change as you went overseas compared to what you were used to? Let's start with Combo on this one.
I mean, everybody knows me, knows I like to stretch a lot. So as I got older and older, I stretched more and more. But overseas, I used to get into like battle rap wormholes on YouTube, and that used to get me hyped for
I
for
like
games.
that. Give
So,
me your top 3 battle rappers right now. Go.
Clips, Lux, Hollow.
What about Rock?
He knows his thing. He knows.
Yeah, that's-
He
that's
knows.
how I got
Okay.
back in
Okay. Manny, what you got?
I kind of didn't really have. I kind of try to let my my pregame routine since college actually was everything like that I could control. So like just wear my socks. I used to wear 2 socks to play. Just get my form shooting in.
That's a hooper right there.
Right.
The 2 sock era. Oh my goodness.
I still do praying. You know what I mean? Meditating before the game, and I try not to let any kind of like outside forces get into my mindset. You know what I mean? And since college, I kind of did that, and then it served me well overseas because, like I said, the lights go out. You know what I mean? It could and it could happen anywhere. It could happen in Europe. It could happen in Africa. It could happen in Brazil. You could just have unexpected moments that could kind of take you out of your game. Your coach might say, "Hey, you're not starting today." So I kind of try to get centered as much as possible, and that was kind of my routine.
Yeah.
I gotta say one thing.
Cool.
So this wasn't a game routine, but can you hear me? We good? Actually, Manny got me running hills one year in the summer. And
Defense and hills?
And hills. And that year, my routine was, even during the season, I would run the hill once a week. Until this day, I still do it once a week because of Manny. And that was one of my best seasons. Like, I felt like I got faster after 30 because of those hill sprints. So
That's fire.
appreciate you, Manny.
That's super fire. That's super fire. Nikki?
Yeah, I think the normal things, eating right, getting the right rest, recovery, things like that. But being overseas for 8 months at a time, you're isolated a lot, obviously. And so I built that same thing that Manny was talking about, meditating. I would analyze life a lot and just kind of be to myself and get in this zone. And that's what I would do before the game as well, like put on my favorite songs and kind of like get in my zone, in my space. And I got really good at just being by myself and understanding how to channel that in a good way for my games.
E?
I'm a nap guy, honestly. So as long as I get my nap in about 2 hours before the game, anything else after that I'm just ready to play ball. Nah, I think you got to time it right. Like anything after 45 minutes is too much. Like I'm a 40-minute kind of guy.
There's science behind that, too. He knows what he's talking about.
Absolutely.
He knows what he's talking about. All right, Sarah.
I would say it's pretty simple. Find a good song, probably play the same song on repeat, just so I could really super lock in, and then walk through the shots that I know I'm going to be taking, whether, the shots associated with whatever plays that I know we're going to be running.
For this next portion, we're going to get a really cool opportunity to learn more about our incredible panelists. And real quick, if y'all can y'all please clap it up for them so far? Like,
Please.
this has been
Please.
incredible. I'm very much enjoying what we've been hearing from them. I'm learning so much. This has been great. Nikki, to start this off with you, right? You know, I think back to your, senior year of high school to when you went to Eastern Kentucky, and I feel like a big theme for you during that time frame was perseverance, because again, senior year, like I told the crowd, right? You were talking about all Bronx, player of the year, hella accomplishments, what you did, to show my age a little bit. I remember when the city used to have the 3-point and the dunk contest at the Garden, and Nikki won the 3-point contest at the Garden. I think you went an absurd 7 or 8 out of 12 in 30 seconds, right? And then of course you go to college, your first stop at UTEP, and you average 1.9 points per game. Then second year you average 15, you win the chip at Monroe, and then of course you go to Eastern Kentucky and you do your thing. What for you during that 3-ish year stretch fueled your development and kept you motivated despite you literally seeing the ebbs and flows of success in basketball?
Yeah, I think just my faith and belief in myself, I always was a workhorse, so it was no problem getting in the gym and working on my craft. But I really had to believe. I was like, I'm not going home. I'm gonna make it to the stage that I want to get to, and whatever it's gonna take. If I have to change schools, whether that's the best decision or not, I'm gonna do it and start over. And you hit with a lot of adversity when you're young, and you don't have people kind of guiding you and leading you. If they don't know, like my parents weren't basketball players. Nobody in my family could hold my hand and tell me, go here, go there. Trainers weren't as big at that time. So I didn't have anybody really kind of guiding me. So I was just making decisions on my own, right? And so I got the Bronx Player of the Year. I did really good, and then I went to UTEP. UTEP was this big school, but I was playing behind somebody, so I wasn't playing a lot. And I was just like, she's only a sophomore. What am I gonna do, ride the whole time? But I was working hard, and I was just like, okay, something has to change. And so at the end of that year, it was a tough decision, and that was like a turning point from my career where I decided to go to junior college because it wasn't allowed to transfer Division I to Division I without sitting out a year. So I opted to go to JUCO, which was the first year Division I. And so we won the national championship. I was the starting point guard.
Ooh, clap it up
so that was
clap
really
it up
good.
For that.
Thanks. And then obviously since it's a JUCO, after my sophomore year, I have to leave. And so that's when I got the full scholarship to Eastern Kentucky. And I did my thing there as well. Big Kentucky was nearby. So I would go there and work out with the girls. I mean, I've always been relentless, So I think every time I face challenges or any type of adversity, it's like my faith and just some type of inner belief in myself that I know I'm supposed to just overcome and do better. So that's what kept me going the whole time.
Absolutely. Clap it up for that. That was incredible. Nikki, I have a quick follow-up question for you, right? During that incredible soliloquy, you talked about how it was a tough decision to leave. And I bring that up because now, right, for all of us that follow high school and college basketball, again, you're still very close to New York City basketball. You know how often these kids are talking and are actually acting on changing goddamn schools, AAU programs, right? They doing it quicker than some of us, might change socks. It's like by the time you get a new pair, the kid goes to a new program. For you, what do you think is fueling the quickness that a player is making between, let me really evaluate my situation, maybe stay, versus, oh no, like we saw this year in college basketball, I think there were over 1,500 players who entered the transfer portal.
I think everybody's thinking quick. They want the quick result. They want to be the star right at that moment. I can relate. I mean, you want something then, and it's like you weigh your options. You have 4 years. What am I going to do? Sit out a year, miss a year, go to another new school, start over, or stay here and not play? So it's like now there's so many options that you can enter the portal and still be okay. And I think that has opened up a lot of decisions, the choices that they're making based off of that. It's like now that I can transfer and I won't have to sit out, right? You don't have to sit out a year, right? So when I was in college, if you transferred from a Division I to a Division I, you had to sit out that whole year. There was no playing that year. So now that they made the rules, you don't have to sit out. You can still transfer. It's like, why not? If another school wants me, if I feel I'm not being respected here, I'll go there. I'm not saying it's the right move. I'm just saying that's what they're thinking. I would say to build something and like stay somewhere for 4 years so that you kind of like build the fan base. You build, some type of love in the area. But these guys are super athletic. You understand? Even the girls. I mean, it's you can call it either way, whether or not they're making the right decision. But that's what it is. They have more options now, obviously.
JUCO don't even count as eligibility anymore, right?
Yeah, I was gonna say
It doesn't
So you
even
can play
count.
6 years in
Towards your-
college?
yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, so in my case, that I went JUCO my 1 year, I lost that year. That was part of my 4 years. If it was today, I would have had 3 more years after I left JUCO to continue playing in college somewhere else. So I would have had UTEP, the JUCO, and then 3 years wherever else.
That's so crazy. That's so crazy. Shout out NIL. All right, E. Now, for y'all who don't know, this my, you know what I mean? This my brother right here. Like since they said player of the year, this is so much my brother. He went and won player of the year after me. You know what I mean? I probably half the points I got was because this was my point guard. But one thing that isn't, I feel like people don't, I don't want to say give you credit for, but when you talk about an Iron Man, in high school, I never saw him miss a game. That was just high school. In college, he started 127 straight games, right? Now, you talk about load management and all that now, like we wouldn't even think of that right now. What is the mindset? What mindset do you have to be in to be like, I'm showing up to work because you weren't 100% for all these games. I know you weren't, for a fact. We talked about it. So it's like, what's the mindset that you got to be in to play that many games straight, to be available for your team, to be there, to show up, all the things?
I think it's simply just the love for the game. I think everybody else up here can agree. It's like, if you love the game, you want to play. Regardless, like you would have to carry me out in a wheelchair. If I can walk, if I can run, then I can play. And to go back on, I think that was a great question, by the way, that you asked, Nikki. I think that's the difference between when we played and the kids now. Like I don't think they love the game the same way we did. And I think it's not necessarily their fault because of the environment they're in. Like Nikki said, you can go somewhere, transfer, play good, play bad, and be fine. Like in our time, I mean, I'm only 28, I don't want to act like I'm 50 here, but in my time, if you played bad, it mattered. Like there was a consequence that came with that. But to go back to your question, right, I think it's just the love for the game and wanting to play, especially those high school and college. You know, to me, everything I've done professionally, the high school and college was some of the best times I've had playing basketball. Playing with your best friends, it's a vibe every day, it's a vibe every game. So it would take a lot for me to miss a game on either of those two levels.
It's a fact.
Manny, for you, right? You've accomplished a lot during your career, but you also had the privilege, the honor of playing in your home country, in the DR. What was that like?
Playing in my home country was actually like a dream come true, and it actually happened within the last 2 or 3 years. So I spent most of my career overseas and around the world and stuff like that, and being able to actually come back home and play in front of your family members, your friends, people that wanted to see you play was an incredible experience. It's rewarding for them, it's rewarding for you. And to be honest, at that point, it kind of didn't even feel like basketball anymore. You know what I mean? It was kind of like a celebration, sort of. You know what I mean? I kind of found out what it was like to play as a native finally. It's a lot less pressure. It's a lot less, it's hard to cut you. You know what I mean? When you go overseas to like a country you're not from, you're actually competing with other Americans. So to get the job, it's not against them. You're sort of competing for 2 spots against other great players, other All-Americans, other people who scored and done a lot of things in college. So you got to be on top of your game. And to jump back on the question that you had talked about the kids transferring and all that, I feel like people now try to outrun the work.
That was a bar.
Yeah, and in this game, it's going to catch up to you. You know what I mean? You're either going to put in pain or you're going to fall by the wayside. And I think it's, with everything that's going on, it's just popular to think that the next destination is going to be the right one. You know, and the right one is going to be, you know, you locking in. And if you don't, then you just be wasting your time.
I want to say something to what he's saying. He's saying outrun the work, right? But when you think about that, it's not the actual work. What I think you're trying to say is that you're basically outrunning the adversity. You're running away from the adversity, the challenges. And in those adversities and those challenges, you learn things that are necessary for your journey, right? But if you kind of hit that bump and then you're like, well, I'm leaving, I'm going somewhere else, you kind of won't learn that lesson there. Because honestly, anybody that's able to transfer, they're already nice. Like, these are not players that are like the bottom of the bottom. We're talking about players that are already elite, meaning they work out with trainers. They have a whole camp of people that are kind of like getting them right? Physically. Or I'm talking crazy, right? So they not really outrunning like that type of work. Like, it's not like they don't want to work hard. It's more so they spoiled in the sense that they have another option. It's like, all right, you don't want to treat me like the star I am? Now I'm going to go here. So it's like a loyalty type of they outrunning, hitting that obstacle and then saying, how am I going to work through this and make it still happen? Going somewhere else instead.
And
I don't know.
If y'all didn't know, she works with the AAU team, a pretty high level, New Heights, if y'all don't know. So you living through this right now.
Yeah, these
You
kids
living through this right now.
some of these boys, especially the guys, like maybe 5'9", 5'10", they'll dunk on combo and rock. Sorry, I'm just saying.
Good
like
luck.
the athleticism that's coming up now. I don't know about their hunger and like they're not built like we would say like us.
There's a lot of people in here. Why combo?
I'm just saying because you're tall. I'm sorry. But they're being breed different now. You understand? Like, and then they have the whole training camp near them. They're learning pro technique, pro styles. They're pros, people talking to them all the time. So you lose an edge in a sense because now the hunger in that type of way, it's not like a starving type of game, but it's more so like they solid. Their skill set is like up to par most of the time, right? Or no? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Sarah.
Sorry, Manny. I'm sorry about that.
Good. Sarah, so the NBA has a lot of initiatives right now. One of the biggest ones being exploring NBA Africa, right? The BAL, right? There are a lot of leagues that are popping up overseas, especially in Africa. Talk to us about how would you compare the talent pool of players, whether it be youth, pro, whatever, in Africa compared to what we have here in the U.S.? How would you compare the talent, whether it be raw talent? Like, what does that actually look like?
Excellent question. Raw athleticism, straight from the source. But with the recent, outreaches by the NBA, it's becoming more refined. You're starting to see more polished guards coming out of Africa, not just the typical standard, go get your 6'10" guy from Senegal, go get your 6'10" guy from Congo or Angola. You're starting to see more refined, polished players. For example, Joel Embiid, who is enormous but extremely skilled. And it's only going to get better as time goes on.
Love it. Combo,
What's up, Rock?
you're kind of playing the role of our elder statesman here.
Oh, thanks.
All right?
Damn.
Might need to check the birth certificate. But you've found another passion outside of basketball since playing,
I
right?
have.
Like, he's found a lane in media, right? And he's killing it. So how have you transferred that passion of basketball to the media space? Like, what does that look like? What is life after basketball? Take us through that.
Yeah, I think I just took my basketball mentality, working on it every day, the passion, and I just took that to media. Like, I have the same process, like just work on my game every single day. And now I think with age, the lows aren't as low and the highs aren't as high. I know how to stay level-headed. Throughout my basketball journey, I learned that, and I'm bringing that into media, and it's led to consistency. And yeah, I'm lucky to find another passion. It's not quite like hooping, but it's pretty close because I love entertaining people with basketball conversations.
Love that. And I'll tell you, if you haven't checked out Combo's Corner, extremely entertaining. Extremely.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Kennedy,
I think we made it.
we did it.
I think we made it.
Oh,
All right, let's
yeah,
give
we
them a
did it.
round of applause real quick, please.
So
Please.
love.
Right. So we're going to open it up to Q&A in case anybody has any burning questions for the panelists. So as you think of that, I just want to quickly hand, if Arden, you could be so kind as to hand these off to them. Something that you guys said, especially overseas, talking about not having the right trainers, not having the experience, not having, you get hurt and you're seeing a golf trainer who's trying to get your body right, right? What I do,
Look
I'm
at
a-
the product placement. I love
you
it.
know what I mean? I'm a hooper. And long story short, I got hurt. I've been through the whole nine, and I decided to become a doctor to teach myself, one, how to not get hurt, and two, give game to other players to teach them how to not get hurt, right? So that right there is a wristband, right? It's a regular wristband, but a little bit more action to it. When you tap your phone to that band, it's going to bring up a workout, right? Not just a workout, a month's worth of workouts. And you can go and click on the exercise and get a tutorial on how to actually do it. This is how I try to give value back to overseas players, because we know you don't get the amount of resources that you do here, but you're probably working 3 times as hard over there. So to do that without resources, it's tough. So small little way to be able to give back to the game, especially give back to the game globally. So that's a little gift for y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rock. We appreciate you.
Now, do we have any questions at all from the audience? We got one back here. Go ahead, project, because I don't feel like giving this. My man.
So I spent some time out in Poland last year. I was out there for about 9 months, and I was like the only black person out there. So I guess a question for anybody up here, if you guys can give
I got this one. Don't worry.
I'm sure you do. One of the hardest things for me was to really like get ingrained with the community of people there, and like trying to make friends. Where like only people I know there are people I do music with, and I only see them for about like an hour. And the rest of the day, I'm trying to figure out what I'm doing. So what was it like for you guys making friends, maybe, or what did you do to hang out with you and pass the time, just be a regular person? Anybody?
For me, I'm naturally I'm to myself. Like he could tell you, I'm naturally to myself a lot, and I kind of dealt with that same problem, being out there for, 5+, 6+ months. Being to yourself isn't the best thing. Isn't the best thing for you or anybody else. So for me, I kind of had to be cautious of it, but also immerse myself in it to allow it to come. If some teammates that were from that country were going out, I would go out with them just to experience. But I think for me, the biggest thing that kind of got me ingrained with the team was just the locker room, like really just vibing with the guys, asking questions, asking about their personal life or what they got going on for the rest of the day, their interests, who they like, basketball players. And over time, like you said, you spending time with these people every day, practice, locker room, treatment table, bus rides, et cetera, et cetera. And over time, for me, it definitely became easier, but it was a step for me to want to do that. I think that was the biggest thing for me, just the want to get more accustomed to those guys, for sure.
I like it.
I'll go. Yeah, great question. But for me, it was super hard. I'm also, I would say, naturally introverted, which is difficult when there's also a language barrier innately because you're in a foreign country. It was just overall hard. If there wasn't like an English speaking person that just found interest in me, like it was tough for me to really make friends outside of the people that I saw every day going to work. For example, even at practice, it was hard for me to like bond because maybe after practice, we're done with practice, everybody had a good workout. The locals would be engaging in like chit chat, banter, but it's in Spanish. And I couldn't really engage because my Spanish wasn't that good yet. And if I did ask like, hey, maybe an assistant coach or one of my teammates, hey, what's everybody talking about? They'll give like a translation and they'll be like, oh, they're talking about this, that, and the third. And it's like, okay, you know, I still couldn't really get into it because I was just too. It was hard. It was hard. Yeah.
I sort of tried to learn the culture a little bit as much as I could. Maybe study a little bit of what it is that they like to do and see if there are any common interests. I remember in China, I kind of went to like an American bar, you know what I mean? And some of my Chinese teammates, they like that type of stuff too. And we kind of bonded a little bit over similar interests, you know what I mean? And if you could kind of work your way into learning some of their stuff, they can kind of meet you in the middle, you know what I mean? And you'll be surprised what kind of great friendships you'll make, you know what I mean, with people from all types of different backgrounds.
Yeah. Good. First off, what's your name, my boy? Who asked that question? Dre. Dre, you got yourself a wristband. That was a great question. My man. My man. Yeah.
He said, I'm Dre.
Hey.
Any other questions from the crowd?
Shantae got a question.
Oh yeah, now the hands is up. There we go. There we go. No, let's go right here. I got 1, 2, and then my boy. I see you in the back. You next. All right. Talk to me.
Well, I spent some time in Australia, and so I really wanted to go to, like, obviously to watch the basketball games, and I, for some reason, thought it was going to be the same as going to a basketball game at the Barclays or MSG, and it was not. But, like, for me, I was still a true fan. What was that experience like for you guys from, like how were the fans receptive to you guys on the court?
I thought the fans were kind of crazy, to be honest. I mean, they had the drums going. They're a little more fanatical. They get their swag, if you will, from like the soccer culture. So like their whole life is about these basketball games. And every community has that type of interest. Some are smaller interests, some are a smaller amount of people for that club. But with the bigger clubs, it gets super crazy. I'm sure you guys seen the video with like the pyro and everybody going crazy. And I think a lot of overseas basketball is influenced by soccer culture. Like, even if you see somebody get injured, they might roll around for no reason for too long if they're a European player. Like, you see it with Luka all the time. And it's like that with the crowd. I think a lot of the basketball culture comes from their soccer culture.
Yeah, so I played in Greece, and I played for Panathinaikos, which is like one of the biggest teams in the Euro League, especially on the men's side. And actually, he trained me as when I became a pro. Shout out to LJ right here in the front row. He's also a trainer. He trained me, and he flew out to Greece. So when I played with Panathinaikos, we had different facilities. The girls practiced. We had a gym that was smaller so that we can have all our fans there, of course, and it would be huge. But the men, they would fill the whole arena, and this was like you were at war. If you wore the color red, our color was green. It was like the Crips and Bloods, guys, I'm telling you. You were not safe. If you came to Panathinaikos gym and you were wearing red, be careful. Right, El? It was like intense. We're talking about the drums, everything like that, the fire bombs. And then they have this thing, like, as soon as the jump ball comes, everybody throws tissue on the floor. Did you guys ever experience that?
Yes.
Videos of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The jump ball, this is what happens. They do the jump ball. Everybody knows it's going to happen. Both teams, the refs, everybody. They do the jump ball. All of the fans throw garbage on the court. So they stop the game right there, 1 second into the game. They clean up the court, and then we continue. It's like insane. It happens in the men's games more, not so much the women, but the fans are real deal. And this is outside of the court too. Like if you go outside of the court and you're in the wrong neighborhood, they do it by neighborhoods. It's like Panathinaikos, Olympiakos, Athinaikos, and they all have different colors, yellow, green, red. If you go to their territory wearing the other color or representing the other team, you better be careful. And that's what I'm saying. Yeah, it gets intense.
I have a story from when we played in the African Championships in Senegal. Those fans, they love their women's basketball team. They love basketball, period. And when they hosted the African Cup of Nations in 2019, they absolutely harassed us because we ended up playing Senegal in the championship. And during the game, people were throwing sand at us while we were sitting on the bench. We were having things thrown at us. People somebody during halftime, we went into the locker room. We had our meeting, and on our way out, we opened the door, and there was like I guess you could call it like a voodoo doll with its head like halfway like cut off, and like right there like at our doorstep with like feathers and all this other stuff. And we're looking like, what in the world is this? Like, what's going on? Like, who? We have a security guard literally standing right there. How did this happen? And he's just looking like, twiddling his thumbs like, oh, I have no idea what this is. And they're like really big on juju. So like my assistant coach started like firing prayers. In the blood of Jesus, I rebuke it back to center. It will fail. It will never work. So it's a lot of, it get real out there. So we're just like, all right. But with all this happening, it's like, okay, we still got the second half to play. It's a lot going on. But like, yeah, you never know what you're going to get in each country that you play.
I wouldn't have played that game.
I actually don't have one of those, but I do have an interesting fan story. One time I was at a restaurant in Barcelona. We were eating at night, just me, one of my teammates after practice or whatever, and then it kind of was like Saturday night. We didn't have practice on Sunday, so we were kind of just lounging around 9 o'clock, and then a group of fans came up to our table with like serious faces, and they were like, "Hey, what are you guys doing?" We're like, "Oh, we're having dinner." Like, "Oh, aren't you supposed to be at home asleep?" And we were like, "Who are you?" First and foremost, and they were like, "Oh, make sure you get home at 10. We don't want to see you out here like late night." So it kind of like escalated a little bit, you know what I mean? And we were like, "Dude, like you're going to, you guys are going crazy. Like take it easy." But it kind of woke us up a little bit, you know what I mean? That you kind of had to be careful how you moved and stuff like that. So
They set a curfew on y'all. That's crazy. All right. That was a good question. You won yourself one. There you go. All right, we've got one. Oh, I know we had another one. Your hand came up. Go ahead. Let's hear it.
Hi, guys. Hi. So I lived abroad during COVID, and I like how you guys mentioned about isolation, because we didn't really feel that, especially during that time. Can you guys speak to a moment or even a conversation that you had while abroad that kind of made a deeper passion for the love of the game for you guys?
Can you repeat the question?
Can you talk about a moment like during your isolation or any adversity that you were facing abroad that kind of gave you a more deeper love or passion for the game?
I think my love was so deep it couldn't get deeper for basketball. Pause. But yeah, like I can't outside of my son, shouts to Horatio, I can't ever imagine loving anything more than basketball. So I don't know if it ever got deeper, if that makes sense. Yeah.
I agree. I don't know if there was an exact moment, but I do remember my first year in Luxembourg when COVID hit the first time. I went 17 days with no hot water. This is during quarantine, and y'all probably can attest to this. Overseas, the quarantine, like, they weren't messing around, especially when COVID first happened. Like, you had to be in the house for whatever amount of days they said. But with no hot water to shower, with COVID, and the only thing they really were bringing me probably was like a Tylenol in America, and they were just bringing me pills every couple days. But I think at that moment, I kind of had a question with myself, like, do I really want to keep doing this? Like, and that was kind of like a moment that just tested me to see how much I did love it, and obviously I was ready for whatever it took. So I would agree with that as well.
Yeah. I think even if you I don't think any of us are ever going to fall out of love with basketball, but you could fall out of love with like the business of basketball and just living overseas. And if this is the country you want to live in, America, I mean, you're never going to. It doesn't matter how much you love basketball. Like, you want to live where you want to live. We could still hoop here, and maybe you won't get paid for it eventually. But yeah, I don't think that it correlates sometimes.
I think I understood her question it was like, is there any circumstance that kind of made you fall out of the love for the game, I think is the question, right? And I think to answer you, and these guys gave great answers, it's like you go through so much to finally be overseas that it's going to take a whole lot for you to give up your opportunity. You know what I mean? I know Kambu could attest to this. And some of my friends who played in like for Maccabi Tel Aviv and some of the teams in Israel, they're actually going through that now. They already had like bomb shelters and bomb scares during the league. So a friend of mine named John Holland, they actually, I think a missile landed close to where he was staying. So he had to shelter on the ground for, I don't know if it was 10 or 12 days. You know what I mean? And then they get out and then you start practicing again. But, you know, that's how you kind of can tell who's going to be able to make this a career. It's like when you go through these kind of adversities, who's able to like dust themselves off, you know what I mean, and come back and still be able to not only play but be productive. So it takes a whole incredible amount of mental toughness to constantly have to go through things, but realize it's part of your bigger journey.
Well, all right, that was another good one. We have one more box. We got one more question. So my boy, he had his hands up. Talk to me.
Hey. Is that Angel? Well, you gotta say that one more time.
What kept you motivated during like the quieter, less glamorous moments?
Yeah, I think the will to want to be great. I mean, I think all of us have like innate mindset to like want to be great. I mean, we're playing the game to get better each day. We all know that we can improve, and then we have things to prove as well. I mean, obviously, even LeBron has things to prove, right? The ones who are already at the top, they still trying to prove things to the masses. Maybe not to themselves, but to everybody. And we're where we are, we're still trying to prove that we belong where we are and that we can be successful where we are and that we want to advance and continue to prove that we're supposed to be where we are. So I think that will and that like mindset is kind of what helps drive us to continue. And regardless of these moments of adversity or these moments of not having hot water, right? Because just so you guys know, a lot of countries, they run off a system where they have a boiler, where it's the direct sunlight that heats the water. They don't have the system that automatically has hot water in the bathroom. So even in that case, you have to turn the boiler on, let it run for 45 minutes, and that's how it heats up. And so when you do shower, you can't shower for like an hour and just, have one of those nice showers, do your hair. You have to pick and choose. I mean, at least the countries that I was in. I don't know about everybody. And so you learn a lot about yourself as well. It's like, wow, I really want to be here because I'm riding on scooters. Not taking long showers. I'm going to practice every day, having to outplay teammates who kind of like hate me because I'm there taking one of their friends' spots, right? I'm getting the most money. So it's like you have a lot of things that are kind of against you. And so you have to have that inner desire to like succeed and prove everybody wrong and prove yourself right.
There we go. Angel, congrats. You got it. All right. So, I mean, we could be up here, honestly, for hours doing this. We could be up here for hours. But we got a watch party to get to now, right? Game 5. So, firstly, let's give them another round of applause, please. Please. And then let's give my co-moderator, Arden, please give him a round of applause.
Make sure y'all give it up for Kennedy, too, man. Incredible performance, my boy. That looked like a 40-point triple-double right there.
Listen, and you guys wouldn't believe that this came together literally in a week, right? Like literally 7 days ago, we decided that we were going to do this. So, I mean, it's a testament to them clearing their busy schedules to even be able to do this and give us some game. You know what I mean? Shout out to Hero. Now, what we're going to do, we're going to allow them to flip it, all right? Because we're going to be able to enjoy the game on the big screen. We got the bar back there. Let's make sure to get some drinks, right? Help the venue out a little bit. But let's congregate. If y'all got any more questions, they're still here. Ask away, right? Find any one of us. But let's have a good night. And go OKC. Yeah? I appreciate y'all.
Yes, sirs.
Oh, me too, exactly.